During the Second World War, the front lines were not just in the fields of Europe or the islands of the Pacific. There was another front, a quieter, more anxious one, in the heart of America. It was a front marked by service flags hanging in the windows of homes, a blue star for a son or daughter serving overseas, and sometimes a gold star for one who would never return. This is the story of the moment a blue star turns to gold, and of a war that continues in a mother's heart long after the guns have fallen silent. This is the story of a final letter and the woman who received it.
The silence in Margaret's kitchen was a new kind. It was not the peaceful quiet of an early Iowa morning, but a heavy, breathless silence that swallowed sound. 3 days had passed since the boy from the telegraph office had stood on her porch, his hat clutched in his hands, unable to meet her eyes. 3 days since he'd handed her the telegram. The words were burned into her memory, cold and official. "The Secretary of War regrets to inform you, killed in action. Bastogne, Belgium." Her blue star, which had hung in the window for 2 years, now lay on the kitchen table, replaced by the gold one the Legion had sent over. A Star of Honor, they called it. To Margaret, it just felt cold. She stared out the window at the snow, which had been falling steadily since yesterday. It was a gentle, beautiful snow, covering the bare fields in a blanket of pure white. Through the swirling flakes, she saw the mailman's truck making its slow way down the lane. He stopped at the box, but instead of just leaving the mail, he began the long walk to the house. Her heart seized for a moment. Another telegram? No, he was holding a letter, an envelope, thin and pale blue, with the familiar, looping handwriting of her son, David. The mailman, a kind man named George whose own son was in the Navy, simply handed her the letter and nodded, his eyes full of a sad understanding. "It came today, Margaret," was all he said. She took it with a hand that did not feel like her own. It felt warm, alive. She closed the door and leaned against it, the letter pressed to her chest. It was postmarked 2 weeks ago, a lifetime ago. She sat down at the kitchen table, placing the living letter next to the stark, dead telegram. She took a deep breath that shuddered in her chest, and she began to read the words of her boy. "Dearest Mom," it began, "I hope you're staying warm. It is colder than anything I've ever known here in the forests of Belgium. The snow is beautiful, though. It's so quiet when it falls, it almost makes you forget there's a war on. It reminds me of our winters. Is the old barn holding up? Did Dad get that new hinge fixed on the door like he was planning?" Margaret looked out the window at the barn, half buried in snow. Her husband, John, had fixed the hinge last Saturday, his movements stiff and silent. The letter continued. "We're living in holes in the ground we dig ourselves. Foxholes. It's not so bad. We have enough to eat. Mostly. The boys in my company are all good men. We try to keep each other's spirits up. We've been talking a lot about Christmas. It's not far off now. Do you think we'll have a white Christmas back home? I hope so. I'm trying to imagine the house all decorated, the fire going, the smell of your baking. Mom, I have a very important request. Please, please save me a piece of your apple pie. The big corner piece. Don't let Dad or anyone else eat it. I don't know when I'll be home, but the first thing I'm going to do is eat that piece of pie. Just thinking about it keeps me warm." A tear she didn't know was there fell onto the page, smudging the ink. She could see him so clearly, a boy of 10, covered in mud, sitting at this very table, demanding the biggest piece of pie. The letter ended with more questions about home, about his dog, Buster, about a girl he was sweet on in town. And then the final words, "Don't you worry about me. I'm tough. I'll be seeing you soon. All my love, David." Margaret folded the letter. The snow was still falling outside. Her son was gone. But here, in his own hand, was his voice, his hopes, his love. The telegram was a fact. It was the end of a life. But this letter, this was the life itself. It was a promise not of his return, but of his existence. And in the heavy, crushing silence of her kitchen, it was everything.
For every soldier who falls on the battlefield, a different kind of battle begins for the family they leave behind. It is a war fought against silence, against the memory, against the future that was stolen. Margaret Campbell would keep that letter for the rest of her life. It was a ghost, a treasure, a final, beautiful piece of her son that the war could not take away. It was a testament to the fact that while a life can be ended, the love it created, a love as simple and as true as a mother's apple pie, can never truly be lost.